This evening we have a reading from the Gospel of John. The Word was first, the Word present to God, God present to the Word. The Word was God, in readiness for God from day one. Everything was created through him, nothing, not one thing, came into being without him. What came into existence was life, and the life was light to live by. The light blazed out of the darkness couldn't put it out. There was once a man, his name John, sent by God to point out the way to the light. He came to show everyone where to look, who to believe in. John was not himself the light. He was there to show the way to the light. The light was a real thing. Everything entering life, he brings into light. He was in the world was there through him, and yet the world didn't even notice. He came to his own people, but they didn't want him. But whoever did want him, who believed he was who he claimed and would do what he said, he made to be their true selves, their child of God selves. They are the God begotten, not blood begotten, not flesh begotten, not sex begotten. The Word became flesh and blood and moved to the neighborhood. We saw the glory with our own eyes, the one-of-a-kind glory, the Father like Son, generous inside and out, true from start to finish. The word of the Lord. So, sure. Try a new way. Right? In the beginning, in the before the anything, in the before the primordial anything, in the before the stardust clumped into rocks, and rocks became asteroids and comets converged by the gravitational pull of the stars. In this beginning, before the anything, was the Word. And in this cosmic, fantastic words spoken through word slam of John in Scripture, grace explodes. God's love expands. In the beginning, before the anything, God's love is. And God's love yields a swirling, expanding, cosmic reality of stars, worlds, ever expanding beyond my simple imagination, beyond what I can imagine as I sit on a night hillside, pinpoint lights expanding above. It is humbling and tumbling to feel so small within the infinitude of God's cosmic love that there was there in the beginning, before the anything. And that same smallness, humbling, overwhelming, makes me shrink like one of those movies back in the day. You know, those kids in the yard with the giant ants shrink and get lost in the terrors of everyday living, breathing, moving, and doing or not doing. So small in the expanses of injustice and brokenness, so small in the face of Middle East peace or lack thereof, so small in the specter of child sex slaves moved like chattel on the highways, so small in the empty reservoirs of India or California, so small in the burning forest of Brazil, Indonesia, where people wear masks and the sky is dark like perpetual night, so small to bigotry and ignorance, so small to the small pervasive evils, so small to the laughter of that second grade bully, Johnny, so small the missed birthdays and small moments, so small the reality of choices, chances, actions made, and in my case, not made. So small the days of conspiracy, oceans rising, left in my smallness adrift alone, adrift on a raft of screens, images, blurbs, aspirational, curated blips of dinner plates and selfies, narcissistic millennials. And in this smallness, there comes the echo from the beginning, before the anything. The Word was, the Word is, the Word brings life, the Word shines, the Word dwells with us. The Word dwells. The Word dwells, and we hear the echo from the beginning, before the anything. The Word dwells. The Word moves in. The Word moves in with a long semi-trailer of grace, moving van down the street. The Word moves in that old abandoned house up your block. You know the place is empty and scary, forgotten, decrepit, lost. The Word moves into the neighborhood, and God takes up space. It lives in our lives. God comes, the Word comes and dwells. Jesus comes, crossing any chasm and barrier. Jesus comes, the embodiment of compassion. The Word moves in and dwells, taking on our suffering, helping us in an exodus. God pitches his tent in the wilderness, and God still leads us to life, incarnation and fleshing, enrobing, enfolding, incorporating. But Jesus doesn't magically change. God stays God, not a phantom specter like Casper the friendly ghost, a friend passing by. Jesus comes and says, I am here, I am with you. Let's change the yuck. Can you live in the fullness he brings? Can you live in the fullness of life? Can you be the good neighbor? Can you start living with the Word that comes from the beginning before the anything? Can you start living in the now? Can you start living in the Word now so that you can start to notice, start paying full attention, to see that cashiers aren't just registers with arms, but people that are working, striving, struggling? Can you notice their songs, their hearts, their sorrows? How much do we miss when we don't pay attention? Joy, sorrows, opening to new discoveries, living as an ally, moving beyond thoughts and prayers. Move, and as a good Samaritan, get in the ditch. And the Word dwells with us. The Word dwells now. The Word dwells and calls us, be the good neighbor, the radical, back to the roots, transformational, world-altering, life-restoring work of God. Being the good neighbor begins inside but moves on out, as it's moved out for us always, from the beginning, before the anything.